Alright. Gonna work on the Camaro today. So, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and pull the injectors out of there. Pull the fuel rail off and pull the injectors out. And see if I see anything out of the ordinary. I don't know what this stain stuff is that keeps getting everywhere. And I washed that off. Not even a couple days ago. I mean, I wonder if that's E85 shooting out of the injectors where I don't have them retainer clips on there. But I don't see it up in there. No, I do see it in the back. Actually, I do see a puddle of something back there. Let's get that off and take a look. Maybe that's the issue. Maybe were those retainers in there. I'm told on the narrow body retainers, you got to use those little injector clips that go up inside here. On the fat body ones, you can get away without using them. That's what I'm told, but let's take it off there and see. I do see a little puddle back there, but it did rain, so that could be rain. But I mean, look at this speckled stuff. That's not rain. That's definitely not rain. That's like something corrosive. I think the fuel's shooting out, and where I've got those coils you can't see. I mean, it's up here. I don't know. This side is the side with the wideband in it, and this side was actually, the wideband was reading right. So I don't know. We'll see. Let's just dig in there and see if we can find something. Well, I got the fuel rail off. And those injectors, they're up inside the fuel rail good. And they were down inside the holes good too. Shoot down in there. See if we can't see anything out of the ordinary. Yeah. Whoa, almost fell. It's hard to lean over these cars when you're short and fat. I don't see anything out of the ordinary. Because that plastic intake, it's shredded. So, just looking down in there, see if we see anything out of the ordinary. I don't see nothing. All the injector connectors were put on right. Yeah. I don't see anything out of the ordinary. I wonder if spraying that brake cleaner through those caused an issue. What I'm going to do, I think tomorrow I'm going to go to the dollar store. The clips come in tomorrow. I've got them all except for one, but I'm going to set those down in like some equal size cups under each injector. And I'm going to, well, I have to put that piece back in because you have to take that out for nitrous if you're spraying off the rail. So I have to put that little tire stem looking thing back in there. And then put the clips on it. And then cycle the key and see what it does. See. Man, the mosquitoes are eating me up tonight. Yeah, all these were on good. I did cycle the key before I took them out, and I didn't see no leaks either. That right there, that's water that leaks from the cow head. Because the cow head doesn't really push down on it. Plus, it's got that piece right there that leaks. But that's water. My question is, what are these spots? I don't know where those are coming from. It's like, I don't know. I wonder if there could be a leak on the fuel rail itself once you get that high pressure going. I don't know. But when you prime the key, it shoots up to 55 without the vacuum hooked up. So I'm going to put that in there. I can't prime it right now because I don't have the cleats in it. And it'll just shoot the injectors clean out. But we're going to go ahead and put that back in anyway. Alright, so I'm putting it back together here. I took the injectors out. That stuff down there, like I said, that was just water from the rain. It comes down the cowl and comes through there and drips down. But anyway, I took the injectors out and I made this little thing to spray carburetor cleaner, carb throttle body cleaner through them. And I used those little alligator clip wires and just hooked it directly to the battery. First, I sprayed through them with nothing, without them hooked up, with them closed, and just to see if they leaked. None of them leaked. And then I hooked it to the battery and I sprayed carb cleaner through them, and every single one of them had a beautiful spray pattern. So I don't think anything's wrong with the injectors. And I put the injector clips on them right there. Put it on all of them, but I don't think they were leaking. What this stuff is over here, I have no clue where that's coming from. I'll wipe it off and it comes right back. It made me think I was leaking E85 from somewhere, but I've never seen the E85 leak off this car, so I have no clue. But anyway, I think it's the crank position sensor. I had this unplugged because I'm going to change the throttle position sensor too. I'm going to change the throttle position sensor. I'm going to change the crank sensor. This car only uses the air intake sensor. It's just brand new. I just bought that because the nitrous backfire caught the other one on fire and melted it. Throttle position sensor, the crank sensor, the cam sensor, and the manifold absolute pressure sensor, the MAP sensor. That's all this car uses. It doesn't use, it's speed density open loop tune. So it don't use the O2s, it don't use a MAF. So I don't know. But I'm gonna put it back together and I'm gonna put a tune in it to where it's just set at 28 degrees. And I'm gonna drive it around a little bit. And the only time it should ever come off 28 degrees is when it goes to the idle table. And is under 1.19% throttle or something like that, it goes to the idle table. But I'm gonna see if I think that crank sensor is bad. And I just replaced that crank sensor. That crank sensor is actually what caused the nitrous backfire, or caused me to blow a head gasket under nitrous before. I'm telling you, I'm getting sick of this fuel injection stuff. My son's car is carbureted. It does not have these problems, man. When you add fuel injection on a race car, I mean, you got 8 injectors that can go bad. If one of them goes bad, leans a cylinder out, pop a piston. You know, you got O2 sensors that can go bad, MAFs that can go bad, crank sensors, cam sensors, MAP sensors. I mean, air intake temperature sensors, throttle position sensors, auto air control sensors, all that crap, man. That's just adding more stuff that can go wrong. I'm honestly maybe going to switch this car over to like a single plane intake and put a distributor in it. I don't know. I'd like to see some cars that have got one of those short distributors in it. See how easy it is to get one of those in there, because man, that cow don't leave much room. I don't know. I'm getting sick of these sensors going bad and causing problems, I'll tell you that. Yeah, but anyway, I think it's the crank sensor. Going to put it all back together, put 28 degrees through the board on a small block Chevy. Chris's car, it runs at 34 degree timing. It's locked out, so it idles at 34. It drives around at 34. So I'm gonna put this one at 28 and drive it around and see if I've got any fluctuation in the timing tables anywhere other than idle. There's a laptop. But yeah, got to finish putting everything back together. And here's why I suspect it to be the crank position sensor, because these circled timing marks in red, those should not be that low in those areas. This one that's 18, that's your part throttle cruise timing, which is usually in the lower 40s on a small block Chevy or an LT1. Up here at the 3600.48 air mass, or cylinder air mass, whatever, that one should be 33, 34. And this number 9 down here, that one should be at least 24 to 33. And it's just randomly popping low timing in here. And when you hit the throttle right off the bat, it's like it's delaying and not catching where the timing should be. So this is why I suspect the crank position sensor. I've checked everything else. I have the wideband wired into the scanner. So, and my math's a little off, but it still reads close enough to know if you're lean or rich. And that looked good. I mean, the plugs look good. The injectors look good. I highly doubt, there was an intake gasket issue. The only thing that I could see in the log, the throttle position sensor, it looked good with the exception of sometimes when you floored the car, you could barely even see it. It would, instead of going 0 to 100, it'd go 067 100 or 070 something in 100. So I'm going to replace that too. But yeah, these timings circled in red, they should not be that low. There's something wrong there. So again, that's why I expected the crank position sensor. Well, I drove it around and it did awesome. I mean, it worked. Something else I did I didn't mention. Nope, this side. Maybe I didn't have that connector all the way up on there on the crank sensor, because it was a little loose. When I reached down there and pushed on it, it moved and plugged in more. Or maybe it just acts up when it starts getting hot. Like I said, the first pass at LTX Shootout, it worked fine. But either way, it's working good now. And like I said, I didn't drive it enough to get the car hot. To get it real hot down there, it might start failing when it starts getting hot, as they typically do. But it sprung a leak in my radiator some freaking hell, and the transmission's gone. That was it. My $700 rebuild transmission, I put $700 worth of parts in it. Finally lost third gear. Third gear is gone. But you know what? I take this thing, I race this thing all the time. I mean, all the time. And when I go to the drag strip, I don't just make 1 or 2 passes. I make 6 to 12 passes every time I go. And I go at least twice a month. So you figure racing season, 2 years, 12 passes, 6 to 12 passes every time I go, and it finally give out on me. That $700, it paid for itself in my opinion, but time for a Turbo 400. No more messing around. We're going to put a Turbo 400 in it. And I'm also going to go ahead and change the crank sensor too. I bought it a $100 one that's supposed to be top of the line. And I'm going to change the throttle position sensor too, because sometimes when you hit the gas on the log, it like pauses. It like pauses a little bit before it hits 100% sometimes. Sometimes it'll go up, hit 67, for a split second, it'll pause and then shoot back up. So I'm gonna change that too. But the throttle position sensor can also cause the car not to shift, but that's not the issue. This third gear is gone. Where it was missing and it didn't know when to shift, and I guess the line pressure was high, I don't know. But when it shifted into second, the last time it was cutting out on me, I mean, it shifted hard and it jarred my teeth. And then that passed, that's when I knew there wasn't no more third gear. But good old 4L60E. I guess you can build them to make power, but, or hold power, but you know, I rebuilt mine. It held for 2 full years of me putting serious abuse through it. And I'd never built a transmission before. I watched the YouTube transmission bench videos and rebuilt it and used the parts Sonex recommended for their stage 2 kit. And I'll be honest with you, on the pump, I was trying to get it done for LTX Shootout 2019, but and there were some, it looked like there was some cracks on the pump, and I still put it back together that way. So I'm actually surprised it lasted as long as it did. Before, when you revved it up, it would quit. It would pop and quit. See, it's not doing that now. It's actually working when you floor it. So I don't know if that sensor is just loose or it starts acting up when it gets hot or what the deal is. But like I said, I'm going to change that center, change the throttle position sensor. And we're going to park this thing for a little while and save up some money for a turbo 400 swap. And we're going to turbo 400 swap. I've actually already bought the cross member for the turbo 400 swap. So I just need to get a transmission, get it rebuilt. I'm gonna get one with a trans brake. And yeah, a trans brake. I'll probably stick with the forward shift pattern, but I am gonna get a manual valve body, trans brake, and I'm gonna get a 4000 stall converter. Because that's what Chris is running on his. He had a tighter stall converter in it, and on the nitrous, it made it go faster on motor, and on the nitrous it didn't hurt the times on nitrous. They say you need a tighter converter for nitrous and a looser one for motor, but that looser one that we put in his car, it made it faster on motor and did not hurt the nitrous times at all. If anything, it might have made the nitrous times a little faster too. But I got springs to do on this one. I'm probably going to do that this weekend. I was waiting for some shims to come in. Oh, look at there, my battery's too dead for the light to come on. I was going to show the Turbo 400 cross member, but it's back there somewhere. There was someone selling one for a steal, man. I couldn't pass it up because I knew I was going to do a Turbo 400 in this car eventually. But yeah, it's running good now. I mean, I hit the throttle and I was doing about 30 and I hit the throttle and it jumped clean sideways on me. So probably it was just the plug-in. It come loose a little, and that should have been the first thing I checked, and I didn't. I'm embarrassed to even tell y'all that maybe that was the problem, but it's running good now. Running real good now. A buddy of mine, Carl, said, wiggle your connector. I reached down there and went to wiggle it, and it pushed on a little bit. But yeah. But I'll get a video. I'm gonna park this just over in the field, over in the corner, because over here the birds do a number on it with them trees. We'll park it over there, get a radiator, get a turbo 400 for it, and get a stall converter and get a ratchet shifter with a, probably even get an electric shifter so it shifts itself. because this computer controlled stuff, it's kind of spoilt me on the transmission side, shifting itself. But yeah, might not get it all done by this year, so, but we still got that one to play with. So, but I'll get a video doing the springs on that one tomorrow.